For the team, for the drivers, they did a massive and incredible job. And I already know the question.
What is the question then? Tell us.
Well, I cannot. Well, I can guess.
Tell me what you think.
I think, to be honest, we felt that Felipe was a little bit slower, and Vettel was catching up with the tires, so that was the reason why.
Show us the evidence. There isn't.
I don't have to show you, Eddie.
We saw it on the times.
You know, it's not true. You are in this business since too many years to say that. But anyway, I take the point, but honestly, I don't think that is really a great point on that.
One last point, Stefano, before you disappear off. He may have been slightly slower. He may have caused problems for Fernando, backing Fernando into Sebastian. But this is Formula 1. Rule 39.1 says team orders that interfere with the result are not permitted. Absolutely. What people at home want to see is Fernando and Felipe fighting. And if Sebastian gets involved in that battle, so be it. That's Formula 1. We want it to be fair.
I totally agree with you. But the team order is not a problem. The problem is the most interest of the team, and that's it. It's not a problem of interfering with anyone.
There isn't a person in this place or a viewer on the television who did not understand what Rob Smedley said about apologising, the way the race ran out. There was clearly no fault with Felipe. It was team orders in a different guise.
No, this is not true. This is not true.
I think you're...
Eddie, first and second, smile. I know that you cannot smile, but smile.
But you will always smile. No.
I have to. I mean, we are very pleased for that.
OK, Stefano, well-educated audience at home, two well-educated men here. Many of them do think it was team orders. Are you at all concerned that the FAA might want to have a little word on your phone after you've spoken to your president?
To be honest, I don't think so. But let's see. We are totally open for that.
OK, thanks very much for joining us. Thank you. Well, Eddie, quite simply, no team orders, OK?
Don't you think we did well to get him on the show?
No, it's fantastic.
Well
it was
done, Eddie,
fantastic. Yes. Feel after that Grand Prix. Let's hear from him.
Well, Rob, I bet you haven't had such an eventful day for a while. Tell us about your race.
It was a good one. It was all right. When you're in the pound seats like we are at the end, you got to be happy. No, it was good. He made a great start. He was very, very good on the soft tyre. Pulling away from Fernando and Sebastian. Then we stopped Fernando one lap earlier than him, just to be safe from Sebastian. Then we stopped. We come out and we were still in the lead, and then he struggled a bit on the hard tyre. He pulled out, and then Fernando pulled him back. Then he pulled out, Fernando pulled him back, and then unfortunately he got him at one of the corners. But at the end of the day, Ferrari got a 1-2, so we got to be happy.
I mean, you took that message you gave him. What were you telling Felipe, and why the apology?
Well, I was pushing him because I was telling him that he's faster, and he had to get on with it. And I was giving him the gaps, and we're always talking in tenths of a second. And the apology is just because I'm sorry that's happened. I'm sorry he's got past, and there you go. But we're still in the pound seats. We're in P2. Keep pushing, and hopefully keep Sebastian behind. And then, of course, it was a big drama at the end because Sebastian was catching us, and traffic was a nightmare all race. But he's come away with the second position. Fernando got the first, so 1-2 for Ferrari. Good.
Thanks, Rob.
And let's not lose sight of the fact this is a great result for Ferrari and a very good result for Felipe Massa as well. A good weekend all round for him. That would have been quite difficult, though, you think, for Rob Smedley, don't you?
I do. I think that any difficult instructions, and we have to take Rob at his word there, that he was keeping Felipe informed all the way through. But I think that that's a message. If it is a directed team instruction, it should come from the team manager, because then it separates that relationship, the very special relationship a driver has with his engineer.
David, Rob Smedley has worked for Jordan for 4 or 5 years. He cut his teeth there. He is biting his lip. You can see that. He deserves an Oscar for what he's just delivered there. An Oscar. The guy is rooted. He cannot cope with what's going on. But he's a Ferrari man through and through. Of course, you educate the guys in the team that no one ever can be as big as the team. It's a team management decision. You're 100% right. The management.
Yeah, because when you had to give team orders to your drivers,
yes,
prior to the rule being brought in,
yes,
you gave the instruction,
I gave the
not
instruction.
the engineers.
And I stuck the flak from the drivers.
Were you aware of the controversy going on ahead of you between Fernando Alonso and Felipe Massa?
Obviously, while you drive, you don't have such a nice view as you guys, but watching the TV occasionally, I've seen Felipe being in first position, and I felt obviously happy as he's a good friend of mine. Then hearing Alonso won the race, I was wondering, well, what kind of strategy was that? But I have said already to the German press, I have been criticized in the past for exactly that, and I have to say I understand 100%, and I would do exactly the same if I would be in their situation. Because in the end of the day, what we're here for, it's fighting for a championship. And there's only one that can win the championship. And by the end of the year, if you think you would have lost the championship for exactly that point, you will ask yourself, not only yourself, all the fans and the TVs and the journalists and so on, why didn't you do so? And I think if you go back to other years, in other teams, in other situations, in the last race, for example, there were clear team orders, and everybody accepts those. Sort of, yeah, that's normal, it's last race and so on. So whether it's the last race, it's the second last race, or even earlier, what's the point? I mean, I can see, like in the years when we did it, because we were leading so much that people thought it was unnecessary, and I can agree on that one in a way, but in principle, no, I cannot. I fully accept, and I agree on what's going on. You have to do it in a way that is maybe nice and maybe not too obvious, make it a nice fight, but there's only one target, and that's winning the championship.
Great to hear Michael's thoughts on that. Very eloquent, actually, because he's been there, he's seen it, he's got the T-shirt. You can understand, though, that point of view, can't you, Eddie, that it's the right thing to do for the championship. You know what he's saying.
He has the same view as what David has, and that's the driver's view, not respecting the rules and the regulations. The rule and regulation has changed since he was so caught up in all of that Ferrari in Austria in 2002. The rules have been changed to avoid and stop that. And what the rule and regulation is, the FIA are charging people in here, also people to watch the television, to see a motor race. And what you're effectively saying, or what Dave is saying, or Michael's saying is, you can have a race, but you can't race your teammate. That's a nonsense for me.